Alrighty, it feels like it's been a decent little while since we've done like an actual venting video, which honestly I don't know why, but it feels like every Sunday kind of passes by and it's like, oh, it's that one day of the week where it feels like I can really just talk about or upload anything and just kind of use that just to kind of, really make the video I would want to make or talk about the things I would want to talk about. And I feel like Sunday is that day for me personally. So I guess that's kind of how I always feel. Like it's the best day for Kakatsu stuff, best day for like just dumb things in general that I want to do, whatever the hell it might be. And today I've said, you know what, I think I want to vent, right? And it's because of something I was talking about in the Discord server last night, essentially, and I kind of just want to go about that. And I know there's like other things we could possibly talk about too, like obviously Sora AI kind of going crazy with different things before they started to get the copyright thing out there and started regulating it, because there's a lot of crazy stuff out here. Like, have y'all seen Michael Jackson stealing chicken from people?
He stole my chicken! Ooh! Got a box of gold, crispy and warm. Gonna take it with me, that's my tasty storm. Run, spin, slide, I'm gliding out the door. Fried love in my arms, can't give it up no more. Hey, come.
Like, that joke is ridiculous. That is crazy. Or MLK just, stopping mid-speech to get some damn Popeyes.
We will march together hand in hand until justice. Pardon me, y'all. As I was saying, justice shall roll.
It's ridiculous, right? Or even things like ReZero, where Subaru is talking about how he gonna crack everybody.
I'm cracking Amelia, Beatrice, Rem, Petra, and especially Melee, one by one!
It is crazy that this is a thing that people are very much, using. And it is very much a lot of things to it that I feel like we should definitely discuss. Because it's just wild. It's wild that it exists. It's funny at times, but it also very much could easily be used as a political power move for people to kind of use this against regular everyday people, so they can restrict some type of freedom of expression. Again, let me know in the comments if you want me to talk about that, but that's not what I want to really talk about today. Today, I basically kind of want to talk about, again, what we talked about in Discord, and I think it was like something along the lines of me not necessarily understanding people having like a giant issue with smaller problems, or at least that's where it started off initially. Basically, I was just kind of like, how do I explain this? I was basically watching like Chugga Conroy. I don't know if y'all know about that channel or whatever, but I was watching him. He playing Kingdom Hearts, and he was playing like in Alice in Wonderland yesterday, and essentially he was basically just like, oh, I had like things like nightmares that kind of happened, and it's not pleasant experiences, and kind of what's going on about that. And then also talked about how he doesn't like certain narrative stuff as well and things like that. And then I was listening to it because obviously I was, with someone playing Kingdom Hearts, I'm kind of curious to see how they're gonna play it, because it's very different from how I play it. But when it comes down to it though, I was listening to like all these small complaints that they had about, things in life, things in the game, things in stories or whatever. And I'm kind of just like, does it matter? Does it really matter that hard? Right? And I kind of always been that way, where it's like all these small complaints, all these small like issues that you have that you take very seriously, or really anybody that is like that, I'm kind of just like, is that really something to complain about? Is that really that big of a deal? Right? Because like for me personally, I haven't had a day where having small complaints like that actually matters to a high degree. Right? And I believe I said this before, but I am very much of the camp of I wish I had small things to complain about half the damn time, right? I really do. Because a lot of my issues usually stem from the people, or at least the situation around me constantly. And it's always been just nothing but that for years and years and years on end, which is incredibly annoying, honestly. It just is. Like, how do I explain this? Like, I can't really sit here and take somebody seriously when they have like a complaint, or an example of a complaint like, you know what? My Starbucks coffee, they gave me the wrong flavor of coffee. I'm actually pretty mad and I'm pretty upset about that. And I'm like, is that really something to kind of get pissed off about? That they gave you the wrong coffee? If it was me, it's just like, oh, they gave me the wrong coffee. That sucks, but drink it anyway. Like, am I gonna make a big complaint about it? Not necessarily. Or like, when people, or like, even when streamers are like, you know, talking about their talking to you know, the chat and whatever, and just being like, oh my gosh, chat, you ain't gonna believe this. I went to the mailbox and I saw some mail that didn't belong to me. How crazy is that, chat? I didn't ask for this. That's crazy. So I gotta go ahead and send that back in the morning. That's crazy, chat. Like, is that big of a deal to be making out of it? Is it just people making small talk? I don't know. But if it's something to be taken seriously, is it something to be taken seriously? Again, I don't really know. And just small weird complaints like that, I just never been able to resonate with that at really any point in time, because I've always seen like bigger things to deal with, or things that has been stressed to a hard amount to me, that actual about other things that actually matter, versus a lot of these smaller things that is just here, right? Because a lot of things that people consider like a real deal annoyance and whatever is kind of just like us, like a whatever situation to me. Kind of like when people, you know, play games and they critique it like hard, or people critique like a lot of things, how some about recently, how critiquing like a lot of stuff can ruin your enjoyment for things. Like, when people go in on certain critiques or whatever, like, I'm not gonna lie, half of those critiques that people do make, like when something takes up too much time or other things that just doesn't go their way, I'm kind of just sitting here just like, is that really a big deal? I kind of just play it just because it's something to play and it's there. I don't think it's really that huge of a deal, right? The only time I'll actually get upset about something is unless something major is like a problem, like, I don't know, the game doesn't work well, or like there's actual bugs that can break the game, or the story is just basically something that we've seen a million times before, or something like that. A actual big major complaint, not the small, oh, I see that the game goes through 5 FPS to 10 FPS. What? It should be straight up a 60 FPS game, but yet it's going down to these weird fluctuations of frame per second. And it's just like, is that really a big deal? Is it? I don't really know. Basically, my worldview of problems is very much just been small, and I am very much inexperienced when it comes down to a lot of things, honestly. And I feel like that's just how it is for me, and a lot of other people have like a lot of these issues and stuff like that, and I'm just like, is that really a big issue? Am I the weird one here? I don't really get it. In that Discord I was talking about last night, and I was just going to use the same example, and really the same problem I obviously have, that we all know that I have, is just the debt and financial nonsense that's always been around my family and stuff like that for years. It has been the sole thing that has been stressed to me every single effing day. That is just a big problem. That is a big issue that we are constantly just dealing with every single time. So when I see people obviously come through with like the small complaints, I don't really take it as seriously, much less really care that damn hard, because oftentimes I'm like, is it on that sort of level of a complaint, like what I'm going through? Is it? Not really? Okay, so what's the big deal here? And that's just kind of how I feel, right? Because again, because it's kind of hard, but try to imagine it in my shoes when it comes down to it. It's just that you wake up, you basically can't necessarily, you know, be having a good time. You can't necessarily feel like yourself or anything like that, because the moment you feel like that, someone in the very same house that you live in is basically going to start questioning, why are you happy, or why are you feeling some type of way of like some type of joy or whatever, right? You can't necessarily be yourself. You can't necessarily be happy because other people are around you. Really, that trip that I had to go to, where we had to take my brother to some place far away from where I usually live so he can get his MRI going, we basically, the whole trip was fine going up there, but I already knew how my family is. And I hate to put it out there like that, but I'm like, all right, so like I already know somebody at some point in time, somebody's gonna start arguing about something. There's gonna be somebody getting really annoyed in some shape or form, and I'm fully expecting this and this to happen. And lo and behold, I was correct in all the things I was assuming. I've seen it coming literally a mile away, days away, and that's just how it is, right? And so when you're just around that sort of like energy a lot, where there is always feeling like there's always going to be something wrong, or someone pointing out something that's going on, or just something just in general that hits your ears and stuff like that, it makes you think it's like the biggest thing in the world that you have to currently deal with. And then when you see other people go through, you know, things of a minor issue and a problem, it doesn't really resonate at all with me, right? And that's just how it is. I don't know if I'm making any sense though. I'm trying to describe this the best way I can, but I don't know if I'm making any sense. I'm just trying to get it as best as I can, right? So, but my point is just the fact that it's like, all right, so you say you go through this with, you know, maybe, I don't know, you just don't like hitting somebody driving on the road or something like that, and they're driving like weird or whatever. And then essentially, you know, you might have an inconvenience where, you know, traffic might be a bit shit or things like that or whatever. And I'm just kind of sitting over here, it's just like, is that again really that big of a damn deal? Like, at least you have a car that takes you and goes, right? At least you have, you know, things of the sort that you really need, that you already have, you know, and you'll be fine. Is it that big of a deal? I guess it's also due to the fact that I've also kind of been forced to live a minimalist life for a long ass time, that I don't really know what it's like to actually have a W, I guess, or like have like a lot of things to care about in a way, right? Because everything that basically kind of hits me has always been something big and something major, and it feels like a fight to the death every single time. And that's just kind of how it is. I was saying in that Discord chat too, I'm like, if you basically are capable of having like disposable income in some shape and form, and you don't have to worry about paying bills nearly as much as I have to and whatever, you're basically lucky and or blessed. You pretty much is, because I have to worry about that shit every month, right? It's something that we have to worry about constantly every single month. And, you know, things like, all right, so we have that done, but then what about food and stuff like that? How we're gonna go ahead and go to these different stores to go to get these foods and whatever. And then like, oh, is there gonna be, if we have to go take the car to like a store or whatever, is it gonna be fine with oil? Then we gotta spare money for that. And it's like, we don't have enough as it is. And it's just so much of other things that just pile up that are, you know, at least to me, that feels like bigger deals of an issue. And then when I hear somebody else's problem or whatever, it just doesn't hit with me to be like, oh, I guess that is a big issue. No, it's kind of just like, is that all you really complain about? Which makes me sound very much insensitive, but that's just kind of how it has been for me. Again, maybe if I did have stuff, or maybe I was in a better position, maybe I wouldn't necessarily be on this sort of feeling or timing, but it just kind of is what it is, right? So that's just kind of how it always has been, you know, for me personally. And it's never really been anything that has felt like a moment's rest, I would say, right? There's never been a moment where the word money or the word or like anything to do with like issues or problems has never just not had a day's rest. Basically every single day it's been someone complaining about something of an issue or whatever. And it's just like, does it has to be every day? Why can't it just be like, you know, it's obviously there, but we could just ignore for a day, right? We don't necessarily have fun in the household that I live, right? Like, there's jokes every now and again, but it's just like, you can't necessarily be overly too happy, or someone's gonna tell you to calm down or stuff like that, which also is another thing that very much annoys me. And that's something I haven't said for a while now, but there was basically the time when we had to, everybody was raising money to get me a PS5, which again, I'm still very much grateful for. And when I got it, I was happy as hell. That was like the first time I was actually happy in a good minute. And essentially, I hooked it up and everything was going good. They showed you like the little animation screen that was going on on the TV for the first time when you boot up a PS5 for the first time. And I was like super excited to see it. And I was recording and I was being happy about it. But then someone ended up saying something to me about it in a negative sort of way, and then it immediately killed the joy I had for it. And it was just like, oh, so I just can't be happy in this house whatsoever. I can't be happy near anybody that is knowing of me in real life whatsoever. And that just basically sent me into a mode to just not care too much about anything that is like actually good. Even when we went up to that place where, you know, we had to take him to for the MRI, like, it's a new place. I never been there, but knowing what I know of the people around me and knowing what I know when it comes down to how they are, I just didn't care that we went to a new place. I didn't care that I've never seen this place before. Was it interesting? Sure, but I didn't get overly excited like how I know I would be. And that's just how it is. I have to restrain myself like a lot. And really, at that point, I didn't really restrain myself at all. It's just common at this point. It's just like, oh yeah, you can't get too hyped, because if you get too hyped, somebody's gonna tell you to calm the hell down. And it's not like I'm doing anything crazy. It's just, you know, oh shit, we actually here, or oh shit, that thing happened. That's crazy. But ultimately, I can't necessarily do that, because obviously it's just like, and you know, it's just somebody gets annoyed, I guess, or whatever the hell. And it's just been a constant thing of that. Again, it's the reason, I feel like it's basically the reason why this channel exists in this sort of level, or at least these videos exist in these sort of ways. It's the only place or time where I can actually express some type of emotion, realize that, oh yeah, I'm still human in some shape and form, and somehow can still do human emotions and things like that, and not completely give up, right? This is like the only time where I can do that, right? Most of the time, a lot of stuff is just in my head, just maybe, I guess, like pretending that certain things is kind of cool, or just thinking about other things and sort of stuff like that. While on the outside, I'm just basically just straight up stone face, not necessarily doing most of anything, or really not even talking as much as I do in these videos. And that's just how it is, right? It's such a weird time. It genuinely just is. And again, it goes back to why I made this channel in the first damn place when it comes down to it, for sure. And then also to kind of even go into that a little bit further, it's a strange feeling for me a lot of the time when there is people that come through, when I'm not around the people I'm usually around, and I'm usually around like different people or people that's around my age or whatever. It gets weird for me, because it's like, oh, I can actually say stuff and people actually care about what I have to say, or, you know, they actually have a viewpoint that I never really seen before, because again, I'm used to what I've been normally been around for so dang long, and that just kind of hits me like a wall. Like, you know, when I first started doing content creation, and still even now, when people were to, you know, go to Throne and, you know, send me stuff or whatever, from that point, I was kind of just like, oh, wait, so people can give people stuff and not expect anything in return? That's new to me. Like, when I first started content creation, that's how I felt, because I was like, do I owe you something, or is that how it is? And then people were like, no, I just want to do that because you seem pretty nice. I'm just like, is that why? Like, because it sounds incredibly sad, but that is just how it is. I have never truthfully experienced things like that a lot of the time. I have never experienced things like that for a grand amount of time, because usually every time somebody wants something, it's because, or at least if you get something from somebody usually wants something, and that is just how it is. So obviously, when I had gotten things in the past, like the Sora's necklace, for example, or the PS5, or whatever else has came through you guys' hands before any sort of like donation and money and whatever, it's just like, whoa, people give people's stuff, and that's just it. It's like it was confusing to me, and to be honest, it's still confusing to me. I don't really fully get it, right? I didn't really understand, and I still don't understand, right? I get the point. I think I do, but at the same time, it's like it's not something that usually happens to me, or it's something that I see a lot of, right? Or at least it happens to other people, right? Which sometimes make it hard for me to kind of be happy for other people, which that's also another thing. But still, nonetheless, it's just like it doesn't happen to me or anybody that I know too much that's like in the immediate vicinity of me, and that's just something that just kind of is a thing. And you know, it's something I want to break out of one day in the future if this channel does well. That I very much want to, you know, experience things and actually, you know what's actually there and actually increase the worldview of what I see, because it's very much shallow and void of anything, to be honest, and it sucks a lot of the time. It just really does. Which I guess brings to the point why I don't take this channel for granted whatsoever, or at least I try not to, because this channel has been easily the best thing for me to express myself and to kind of talk about emotions and things like that I don't really get to express normally, when I don't get the chance to express, because somebody's going to always question it. It's why I don't necessarily like talking to people around me too much outside of when it comes down to very certain things, because I don't necessarily know how to go about it. And at the very same time, when I do try to be truthful and, you know, do what I'm supposed to do and try to feel the way I want to feel, ultimately it gets shunned down. It gets shut down, and people always want to throw their own answers as to what the actual issue is and all that sort of stuff, while never really taking in actually what you want to say, and never really just pondering it for more than 5 seconds without them coming with a response and an answer for themselves. And it's just like, what's kind of the point of even saying anything? And that's just kind of how it is. But if I realize if I stay that way forever, I guess nothing would really change, right? And that's just kind of how it is. That's why I made that video talking about the content creators and talking about how we should, you know, unite together and have smaller content creators actually get bigger and whatever, because, you know, we lose basically everything if people don't talk, if people don't necessarily have any shape and form of trying to get themselves out there and whatever, right? And granted, I already kind of knew that idea for a video was going to fail, but still, it was just something to try anyway, because that's kind of how I feel, at least where I live now. Because it's just like, yeah, I could very much try to talk, but I already know it's not going to change up, because that's just how they are, and so that's just what it is. But ultimately, that's just kind of how I just am in, right? But that's, again, going back to the whole thing about the channel, but just that's again why I don't never really take this channel for granted, no matter if it's, you know, things like donations, or where people absolutely help out with, you know, me and helping me survive to keep the lights on and stuff like that, or whether it's basically your guys' comments coming through and just straight up be like, you know, maybe some advice, or being like, I don't know, just like small talks and gestures or whatever. I value that. I value that very much, because again, I don't get that a lot. And again, when I say I don't really have a lot of people around me, friends more so, in like my current life right now, I don't have any. Like, I don't really talk to anybody, not because I didn't want to, but because everybody else kind of dipped off and did their own thing. The one person I actually did talk to, at least for a while ago, you know, I would like to still talk to them. However, it's been like some years at this point, and at the very same time, you know, the last time I really talked to them, their dad had passed away, and essentially it's kind of just like, yeah, lots of people do change over that sort of instance, and I understand that, but it's like, dang, I haven't heard from him in a good little minute. So it's just been, it's been kind of an annoying venture by myself, kind of rocking things solo, and it's been terrible times as well. Been very much lonely as shit times as well too, which doesn't really put you in the best place in a good mind space at all either. So again, it's just a lot of nonsense when it comes down to it that just you have to kind of deal with, or at least I have to kind of deal with, and it's just not really a good time, which is why, again, I value this channel and the Discord and things like that a lot, because ultimately I don't know mentally where I would be right now, and I don't necessarily know how good I would try to, you know, remain, honestly. And I feel like that's just how it is. That's why, again, trying to make content and talk to other people and express myself through these videos, however I do it, is important, because I don't want to necessarily fall into an abyss of just straight up not necessarily knowing how to kind of stay being like in with some of my emotions, at least. So there is very much that when it comes down to it. So yeah, I think that's the whole convo, which is I guess a few things. Not necessarily understanding people, I guess, in a way I should already know how to understand people, but there's also like just that, and then I guess getting into with emotions and stuff like that as well, which, you know, it's a weird thing. I don't know if this is something that people can relate to. I have no clue, but it's definitely something that has been bothering me for a good minute, and it's been something I've wanted to talk about, I guess, for a while now, and that's just kind of how it is. So I don't know if I made sense in this video. I really don't. I'm just throwing it out there because I just need to vent a little bit about it, because it's just very annoying when you don't have anybody to talk to and vent to. It's, you know, a very common, at least I think, a reason why people would need friends and stuff like that to kind of yap to in some shape and form. It's the reason why, let's just be honest, or at least I'll be honest, why very much having some fine lady she-woman thing just being kind of around will be nice to talk to kind of pour some of your other emotions into that you can't really talk to about anybody else to. It's also another thing as well, I guess. So I don't know. I'm just a very confused person. A very confused person in terms of what the hell is actually being human, and it takes so much strength to actually be one, to continue to go for being one, and all that sort of jazz. So it's just a lot, people. It's just a lot. But yeah, I guess that's really all I want to say for this one. Donate to the Kofi if you like to. Subscribe to the channel. The social medias, follow me in the description. All that stuff is in the description. And yeah, until then, it's been Boy J. Sign off. Have a blessed day.